James WorldWide Watson. We're going to talk about the Virtus Jewel series of rods. There's the red diamond and the blue diamond. For every application you could possibly think of and want or actually use, they've got it covered. Check out this rod. All right, our rod we're going to talk about today is the Virtus Jewel jerkbait rod. Jerkbait's on the side of the rod, but I like to do other things with it, and I'm going to show you today. This rod is great for jerkbaiting because it's a medium heavy, moderate tip, all right? A medium heavy rod with a moderate tip. I like to use monofilament still when throwing a jerkbait, whether it's 8-pound or 10-pound. I'm going to show you here, this setup that I got is perfect for fishing and rolling a popper around bushes in the spring. It's excellent because it's got a short handle, all right, that you can use, that you like to use when you're jerkbaiting, and it's handy as all get out when rolling a popper. It's also an excellent rod to throw a shad wrap on, and I'm telling you, you'll like those three applications. Another thing I like to do with it is a floating worm. If you like to jerk a methylate trick worm around or something like that, or a floating worm, this rod is an excellent choice from it. I like all these techniques because of the cork and the shorter handle. It makes it really to make those perfect casts into tight situations. Today, let's talk a little bit about crankbaiting. This is the Virtus Jewel Wart Crawler Rod. This is a 7-foot, medium moderate cranking rod. It's got the right tip that you need to get that bait to where you want it in the water column and feel everything there is. On the bottom, if you're not on bottom, you can feel every little thump of your crankbait with this Wart Crawler rod. I love it. I got a cork handle on mine. I prefer that for the sensitivity reasons. But I can cast this 7-foot rod a long ways with a crawler or an old school wiggle wart. You're going to feel everything that there is down there with this rod. And it's got the right bend, and I personally still use monofilament. I use 8 to 10-pound Maxima mono for this. And when my hookup with that rod tip and that line and my quantum reel is phenomenal. The hookup ratio is great. That's what I love about all my Virtus Jewel rods, is my hookup ratio seems to be better because they're all designed for specific baits for specific applications. We're going to talk about the Virtus Jewel football jig rod. Now, everybody knows that I'm not a football dragger, but if I did, this would be the perfect rod for it. Trust me, that's why they put the name football jig on the rod. I got another application for it. I love to throw a big spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce or bigger. I love to slow roll it. This is a heavy, extra fast, heavy rod, extra fast tip, and it's great for slow rolling a big spinnerbait. So if you're looking for ways to make a better hookup ratio when slow rolling a big spinnerbait with whatever rod you are currently using, check this out. You might have this rod in your inventory already, but this football jig rod is perfect for other things. Try it for spinnerbaiting. All right, of all the Virtus Jewel rods, the most I own is this one right here. It's the flip pitch rod, 7/6, heavy, fast. This is a flipping stick. I use it for a lot of things. I swim a jig. I flip with like a brush hog, a beaver, a tube, doesn't matter. Carolina rigging. I football jig on big open humps out in the middle of the lake with it. I usually have it spooled up with 20 or 25-pound Maxima fluorocarbon line. This thing is an all-around, all-purpose rod for me in the way I fish. I like the cork handle better than the wind grip because of the sensitivity of it, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, you don't mess around with this rod. You can get fish out of cover with it. You can get them around docks, over cables, in the bushes, whether it's grass, it doesn't matter. When it comes to an application, whatever you want to do. Big spinnerbait. I've caught fish on big spinnerbait. I love this rod. If I had one rod in my whole arsenal to have, it'd be the flip pitch rod by Virtus Jewel. The greatest thing about all these Virtus Jewel rods, they're made right here in the great US of A in Harrison, Arkansas by the folks down there. 7.3 heavy action rod is great. This is the Frog Walker. A great application for pulling fish out of heavy cover around bushes, grass, so on and so forth. My setup is pretty simple. I have a high-speed quantum reel, 8:3 to 1 gear ratio, 50 or 65, most of the time 65-pound braid. It's got the right length of handle, which doesn't get in the way when you're twitching that rod. This rod is super stout, all right? It can get them out of the heaviest cover that you could ever throw your frog into. You know what? I specifically use it just for fishing a frog. I don't use it for anything else. So it's an application, like a lot of my rods, that are simple applications for one style of fishing. The components of this rod, the Frog Walker, is great. The eyes and the guides all can withstand hours and hours of braid. And braid's abusive to rods and reels. Trust me when I say that. So these guides are perfect for throwing braided line on. The greatest thing about all these Vertus Jewel rods, they're made right here in the great US of A in Harrison, Arkansas by the folks down there. So check this rod out. If you love frog fishing, you're going to love this rod. All right, I've introduced the Whopper Plopper to the country. I'll introduce something else, spoon jacking. Vertus Jewel rods, got the perfect rod just for you for spoon jacking. This rod is perfect. It's 7 foot 6 inches long. It's a heavy fast. I like the heavy to allow me to winch them bass out of boat dock slips or open water. It doesn't matter. The fast part of it is even better. It allows me, when pitching and flipping into that stall, it allows me to get the right trajectory that I need for my spoon to hit the water and go where I want. Got to have a little tip to have that done. I don't want a broom handle from start to finish. I got a wind grip on this particular rod. Spoon jacking rod is perfect for jacking big bass out of deep boat dock stalls all around the country. I don't care if you're on the Ozarks, anywhere there's deep, clear water boat docks. You want to pick up a WorldWide spoon, put it on your Vertus Jewel 7.6 spoon jacking rod, 20 to 25 pound fluorocarbon line, and a big spool reel. I like to throw a Quantum HD reel. Holds a lot more line than Smoke S3. So check that out. You're going to love this for applying the big spoon. Even in open water, check this out. It's made specifically for big flutter spoons. All right. One of my favorite ways to fish, just like plopping, is buzz baiting and buzz toading, all right? You like to throw a horny toad, this is the rod. You like to throw a buzz bait, this is the rod. It's a 7.7 heavy fast, just like the plopping rod, but a little bit shorter. And here's why. I like to have a rod that's compatible with the weight of the lure. This buzz bait rod is perfect for buzz baiting and horny toading because of the weight of the lure. I don't need a 7.9 or a 7.10 or a great big giant rod, but I want a long rod to make long casts and to manipulate around cover, just like I do when I'm plopping. This has got a wind grip. I like the wind grips on rods like this that don't require sensitivity as much like other rods do. I like to use a cork with sensitivity. But with the wind grip, it's more of an impact. It's a visual thing. So 7.7, heavy, fast. It's got a lot of tip to it. Just like the plopping rod, I want this thing to give when I get a bite. I want that rod to give enough and let the braid and reel and the rod do the hookup for me. That's why I have that such a good, fast tip. All right, let's talk about the nitty gritty. The thing that I like the most in the planet on this earth is throwing a plopper and a buzz bait. So let's talk about the plopping and chopping rod, the Vertus Jewel plopping and chopping rod. This is 7.9, all right? It's a heavy, heavy rod, but it's got a fast tip. It's a 7.9 heavy fast. Got a lot of handle, so you can really get a good cast with this. Now, why 7.9 versus 7.6 or 7.7 or 7, whatever? 7.9, I want it because a plopper weighs about 1.25 ounces. It's a big plug. It takes a big rod to throw it properly. And distance is key. In clear water, I want to throw this plug as far as I can possibly throw it, all right? That's the key to catching more bass when you're throwing a plopper. If you're throwing a plopper down a bank and you got a little outcrop of rocks or a bush or something like that, you can throw it past with this long rod. You can throw it past that bush and manipulate that bait around that bush. All right. Another key component to this rod. All right. Great guides for braided line. I throw an 8-3 or 8-1 to 1 quantum smoke with 65, most of the time 65-pound maximum braid. Super, super important that this rod was built the right way, and Virtus Jewel nailed it. After a few trials and tribulations, we got it with the fast reel, the long Virtus Jewel rod, and the braided line with the fast tip. Your reaction time is nothing. Do not overreact when you're throwing a plopper, all right? Let them eat the bait and just merely pull. It's not a jerk, it's not a hook set. Pull. That rod tip is designed with that braided line, designed to do all the hooking for you. So don't get carried away and don't use the wrong rod, or you'll have less hookups and you'll win less money. Trust me, I've won more money on a whopper plopper than any other bait out there. The greatest thing about all these Virtus Jewel rods, they're made right here in the great US of A in Harrison, Arkansas by the folks down there. So check this rod out.